Hello and welcome. I'm Brett Connor. And I'm Royce Connor, and this is The Best We Can Do. Here's the best we can do on today's episode. We are talking about a concept that I have been mocked over for years, and this is the economics concept that has been referred to as Royce-enomics.
Okay, no one refers to it as Royce-enomics. You, Royce. You call it Royce-enomics, and it's absolutely moronic.
I did not make up the term. It was thrust upon me, and it is mocked constantly. But we're going to talk about Royce-enomics in the greater context of we're going to talk about money.
Money, 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 money.
And how to manage it, and how to think about it, and why I am right about it, using this concept lens of Royce-enomics.
Fool-enomics, idiot-enomics, Royce-enomics.
Besties, bear with me here. I'm going to give you the general definition of Royce-enomics. And really what it means is a penny saved is a penny earned. You've heard that before. I've heard that before. It has been common sense for generations. And this is the backbone of the concept of Royce-enomics. If you are going to spend money and you spend less than you thought you were going to, that money is saved, and I get very excited. I'll tell you the story of how this concept was born. My husband, Aaron, and I needed to buy a ladder for the house. And for some reason, we were very stupid. I guess that happens all the time.
What reason could it be? Oh, I know. You are stupid. That's the reason.
That's a good guess.
Okay.
We were very stupid and somehow forgot what numbers and measurement mean. And we went online to homedepot.com and purchased a ladder that was ridiculously high, much higher than not only we needed, but higher than we could actually fit in our house to store it. So we're so proud of ourselves for ordering it, and then it shows up, and it is monstrously tall, like a building tall. And we are like, what are we going to do with this giant ladder? We're so stupid. We have to return it now. But because it's so big, we can't fit it in our car to transport it. And this is where Royce-enomics comes in. Now, we've already wasted money on the ladder. We're not going to talk about that. That's not what we're talking about.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
It's the returning of it. I first think what we're going to have to do is rent an expensive U-Haul truck and then drive it to the house, put the ladder in the U-Haul truck, and then drive it to Home Depot. And then it strikes me, maybe we can just go online and find someone who could help us with this. And we go online and we find a nice man with his truck. He comes to the house, picks it up, and he drives us to Home Depot and we return it. And I don't remember exactly how much we saved, but it was hundreds of dollars less to have just paid this guy than it was to get our own U-Haul truck. And I exclaim, "We're making money on this ladder!" And that is when Aaron made fun of me for the first time for this concept of Royce-enomics. I think we did make money in the sense of we were going to spend all this money, but we ended up spending a couple $100 less. Therefore, we saved some money. Penny saved, penny earned. We made money on that ladder. That is Royce-enomics.
Royce, you're a fool. So here's the actual underpinning of Royce-enomics. It has nothing to do with how you got that ladder back. That's almost irrelevant to the concept of Royce-enomics. Royce-enomics is not really about saving money. Royce-enomics is about foolishly buying something you could not possibly use or keep or even get to and from your house. And once you have purchased this entirely ridiculous thing and are forced to put your tail between your legs and return it, then you want to pat yourself on the back because you found a slightly cheaper way of correcting your hideous, foreseeable error. That is Royce-enomics.
The definition of Royce-enomics focuses on the fact that this was money you were going to have to spend anyway. So it can't be some luxurious thing or some ancillary thing. Now, the ladder itself was a luxurious ancillary thing, but the returning of it, we had to do. No choice. And because we saved money on this thing we had to do anyway, Royce-enomics says income, money. I'm very smart.
See, I think this is why you have warped the definition of Royce-enomics in your mind to make you sound a little less silly, because it wasn't just about saving money. I think if you had just saved money, there would be no joke. Aaron never would have said Royce-enomics. It's the fact that you had dug yourself so deep into this hole in the first place that you had to come up with this scheme to get yourself out of it. That is Royce-enomics.
Besties, you see where this is going. I'll give another example, and Brett will tell you why I am stupid. But I'm telling you, this is true economics and money saving. Now, I realize that in a marriage, it's generally important to make big decisions together, which I am generally a fan of, unless the partner isn't doing what I want, in which case I can make unilateral decisions. We needed a new TV for the house, and I spoke to my husband Aaron about it. He was not as open to the idea as I required him to be. So, without telling him, I went online, and I had been eyeing this particular TV for a while. It was the size I wanted. It had all the fancy doohickeys and bells and whistles that a TV should have. I wanted it for the house. And after Aaron had told me that I can't have it, about a week later I realized it was on sale, and a good sale, many % off. So about a week after that, Aaron and I are sitting having our morning coffee, and I said, Aaron, remember you love me. We're getting something in the mail today, and I'm going to need your help moving it. And it arrived, and it was, in fact, this giant TV. Now, he had a word or two to say about that, but where I ended up winning was he remembered how much this TV was before, and we paid less for it. So I got to declare with great enthusiasm, we're making money on this TV. That's Royce-enomics. The TV is something we needed to buy. We must have it. He did not agree, but he would end up admitting I was right because I am always right. And because we saved money by not spending as much as we could have, Royce-enomics says we made money on that TV.
Oh, Royce. So you've given us 2 examples of Royce-enomics. The first example was rooted in a foolish, thoughtless decision. This example,
That's no way to talk about my marriage.
The TV example is about deception. This is the problem with Royce-enomics. It's not about just saving money. Fine, you bought a TV for less. It was on discount. It was on sale. Fine. But that's not Royce-enomics. Royce-enomics is trying to correct a mistake by claiming you saved money in the deal. That's what Royce-enomics actually is, and it's crazy.
We make money in the deal. That's how Royce-enomics works. It's about income. It's about wealth generation.
Let's explore a notion. You said you needed a TV.
Needed.
Did you have a TV at the time?
Yes.
Did it work?
Yes.
Then how did you possibly need a new gigantic television?
As any Nobel laureate in economics would tell you, such as myself, we needed a new TV because in our new house we had just moved into, we were going to have one TV in one room and another TV in the other, and we only had one TV. This was the second TV.
So the need for television is you wanted another room with a television in it.
Correct. Needed.
This is why Royce-enomics is foolish.
You cannot watch Heated Rivalry without a big TV.
Well, you definitely need a big TV for that show.
I agree.
You'll enjoy it more. 3D glasses would help too. This is my general issue with Royce-enomics. It is about foolish spending and justifying it by saying, well, at least I saved a few bucks. I could have spent more foolishly, but instead I've spent less. Give me a prize. No prize for you, Royce.
And you have to announce that you're making money on the deal. That is also an important part of Royce-enomics. So you have to hear things over the course of my marriage. We're making money on these tickets. You have to be making money. And you celebrate the making of the money, but there are corollaries. There are corollaries to Royce-enomics that are not quite as clear, but I think relevant.
Not quite as clear as your ridiculous notion. Okay.
But they come to the idea of saving money on something you would have had to have spent money on otherwise, and therefore you save that money. Penny saved, penny earned. We're making money.
So you did not have to buy a ladder that was bigger than the building you live in, and you did not have to buy multiple televisions for your home.
You don't have vision. So
you don't have a theory.
So a good corollary of Royce-enomics is using people. So why spend money when you can use other people who would do it for you for free? For example, just a few weeks ago, Brett, you allowed me into your home to do laundry. I almost went to a laundromat and gave them way too many quarters that I don't even know I have. Who has quarters anymore? I don't. And instead of having to spend money on laundry, I went to your house and did it for free. I'm making money on that laundry. Royce-enomics.
Oh, it's Royce-enomics because either Royce-enomics is based on deceit, poor planning, bad purchasing decisions, and now we're adding a whole new degree, which is using other people, taking advantage of others. That is what Royce-enomics is. Bad decisions on top of bad choices.
You are blind to my economic wisdom.
This is why Royce-enomics doesn't work.
More corollaries of Royce-enomics. Taking from the unworthy.
This is what I'm curious about. Okay, let's hear taking from the unworthy, Royce. Go ahead.
Besties out there, in your office is the office supply closet, and your thoughtless, neglectful boss does not deserve the Post-it notes and pens that you rightfully deserve. You go into that office supply closet, you take the stapler that you need because you have to go home and staple pages together or whatever you do. Taking from the unworthy boss, Royce-enomics. You're making money on those office supplies.
You are stealing, Royce. That is theft. That is theft. That is not an economic theory. That is stealing from your employer. That is a crime.
But the employer isn't very nice, so I think that factors into it.
This is why you will never, ever, ever convince me that Royce-enomics makes any sense and it is anything other than foolish spending of money.
I'm making money on those office supplies.
Stealing.
Ugh.
Stealing. I would be somewhat impressed by Royce-enomics if it was based in positive things and not foolishness, theft, deceit, deception, usury, everything.
I'm positive that I didn't spend any money on office supplies that one year.
Enjoy your paper clips.
Well, what do you think about the concept of economics in general? Not just Royce-enomics, but when you think about economics, Brett, you know things, you pay attention. You don't steal office supplies from the unworthy.
No, I do not steal office supplies. I feel it's a fascinating subject, and I might broaden it a little bit.
Okay.
Economics is a complicated science. People study it. There are professions. You can actually be an economist and get your advanced degrees and go deep, deep, deep into these notions of economics. Here's what I think. Everyone should know a little bit about economics.
I'm already bored.
If you knew something about economics, you might make better decisions. But you know nothing, and in your ignorance, you buy TVs you don't need and steal from your employers.
I made money on that TV.
Oh my gosh. I feel if you're going to be in any kind of position where your decisions matter, if you're a boss, if you're a parent, if you have to make decisions that involve money, you have to understand the basics of economics and how they might apply to you. You don't need to get a PhD, you don't need to go to business school, none of that, but you need to understand the basics. You have to understand supply and demand, the most basic economic theory that everyone can understand and very few actually do.
How would you explain supply and demand to someone who's considering going into the office supply closet tomorrow?
So supply and demand is about how much something should cost. As logic would suggest, if there's not a lot of that thing, it's going to cost a lot because there's lots of people who want it and there's not enough of it to go around. If there's lots and lots and lots of it and there's enough for everybody and maybe more than everybody needs, the price is going to be low, right? The supply of it is huge, and so the price is low. And that's the general concept. Ideally, whatever it is you're trying to price out, there would be one for everybody and no more. Right? Then it'd be kind of a perfect situation. But that's never what happens. Usually is either more or less on the supply side or higher or lower on the demand side. More people want it, less people want it. And that's how it works. And you see, certainly on big public policy, people who have decisions to make have tremendous power to implement those decisions and have no understanding of supply and demand. The big one I see it, housing. Housing is a huge issue all across America. It's particularly acute here in California.
Agreed.
And the basic problem is we stopped building housing. The supply, flat. We're not making any more, really. We're certainly not making enough to match the demand, which is more and more and more people wanting to live here. So surprise, surprise, what happened to the price of housing? It skyrocketed. It's very expensive to live in California.
It does cost more to put hotels on Park Place than it used to when I was a kid. Is that similar?
I've noticed it used to be $400.
It's way more now.
It's very expensive.
Boardwalk sucks.
And yet people make these decisions seem not to understand the basic problem here is a supply problem. You are not building enough housing. If you want housing to be cheaper, you need to build more of it. Because the only other way to make housing cheaper, based on the rules of supply and demand, is what, Royce?
Stealing houses from your unworthy boss?
Wrong. Less people.
Oh, that's a better answer.
Get rid of the people. Then the demand drops. And the price would fall too. But you don't want less people. You want more and more and more people.
This makes sense to me. I can see what you're talking about. And I can also see why this is affecting the cost of boredom because you're flooding the market with it right now.
All right. Let me say, I want to take a step back from economics and talk about money.
Now we're talking. This is something I understand.
This is what, when you first presented this notion of having a Royce-enomics episode, I'm like, well, Royce-enomics is ridiculous, but we'll talk about it just so I can mock you a little. But it gives us a chance to talk about the greatest taboo we have, money.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Kardashians.
No, I'm afraid they're loose and must be dealt with.
Talk about flooding the market.
Nobody is comfortable talking about money. Everybody wants it. Most people have it. People think about it all the time. It's a huge driver in every facet of your life, of your business, of your family, whatever. And yet nobody wants to talk about it at all. Taboo.
I hate talking about it.
It's so strange. All of us are dealing with money. We all, hopefully, to some degree, have some, earned some, saved some. We can walk into anybody's house and get a pretty good sense of how much they have.
Based on the number of office supplies they have.
Exactly. How many marble statues do you have in your home? That correlates pretty well to your income.
How many high-quality TVs that you got on sale.
How victimized by Royce-enomics you have been.
How much my husband is crying on that given day.
My entire point is nobody wants to talk about money, but people are pretty good at sussing out how much any given person has based on observable factors. And why are we so afraid of talking about something that we can all see? What is it about money that makes people embarrassed to talk about it?
I feel like we were raised that way. We were raised to not talk about money. It was inappropriate and rude to ask, how much do you make? It was unheard of to ask someone how much they paid in rent or how much they paid for a house.
I completely agree with that. And also, it was rude to talk about politics and it was rude to talk about a religion. And yet everybody talks about these things all the time now. And still, we will not talk about money.
It's true. I will never feel comfortable talking about money. When someone asks me a financial question, it makes me very uncomfortable.
Well, here's the thing I find about it. It is fascinating in a sense because there are obvious discomforts of not having it. You know, not being able to afford the basics, or even if you can, not being able to live a lifestyle that is as high as you might want or as you observe other people are having. There can be some embarrassment by not having money.
It's one of the biggest stressors on a family's economics.
Absolutely. Also, if you have lots and lots of money, it can be embarrassing too. So you are embarrassed whether you have very, very little. You can be embarrassed whether you have tremendous amounts of it.
You find the wealthy people are embarrassed to talk about their wealth? I definitely don't see that.
I think there are a lot of people who want to be very inconspicuous with their wealth. I think there are a lot of people who feel guilty because they have these resources and they don't know what to do with them, or they don't know how to make positive use of them in the world. So they do nothing a lot of the time. I think there are people who are a little embarrassed to talk about it, especially in the presence of those who aren't at the same socioeconomic.
That's true. It has to be the number 2 reason why conversations on Epstein Island were awkward.
Probably.
You're making me think about economic decisions and why I think I've demonstrated why I make brilliant ones. Occasionally, I think we all make poor economic decisions. I remember, this is maybe not the best example, but an example of when I've been less than smart. Okay, I'll say it. Stupid. When I was stupid about money, I thought this was a good idea. One of my all-time favorite movies is the movie Aliens from 1986. You've seen it. You love it. It's awesome.
It's a great movie.
I fell in love with this movie head over heels. And when I was a kid and the movie came out, the semi-new technology of the videotape came out. And you could now own movies. And this was something you couldn't really do before. And I wanted to own Aliens. I wanted it to be mine so much. And I marched down to the store where you could buy it. And me, I think 12-year-old me, who, I don't know where I even got this money. I paid 1986 money, $100 for a VHS copy of the movie Aliens.
Oh, boy.
A movie which I can now probably buy for $2.99. I spent, I can't even do the math on how much that would have been now. It must be like $300 now. It was not the best move. However, I will say this. I watched it many, many times and loved it each time, so it's a little less stupid, but that's pretty stupid.
Well, there's Royce-enomics elements to this.
Ooh, I like that. I'm making money on these aliens.
You could say, hey, instead of buying 20th Century Fox, I just bought one copy on VHS of one movie.
You're right.
I'm making money on these aliens.
Thank you, Sigourney Weaver. I feel richer already.
But that's why your theory is, of course, ridiculous, because that makes no sense. I needed to buy a $100 VHS tape.
But the aliens were very scary.
Aliens were very scary, and it is a great movie.
Thank you. Do you have any stories of economic shame?
I don't know if shame's the right word.
I'll use it. Shame.
But I distinctly remember in college, and this was in the 90s, and computers were pretty new, a personal computer. But they weren't so new that it was anything other than completely obvious you needed one.
Yeah.
It switched from being a want to a need.
We're getting into Royce-enomics territory here. Now it's a need.
Except this is real economics, because you really did need one. Like, you could not fully sort of participate in college unless you had your own computer. And more people were getting them. You remember when we started college, people really didn't have a lot of personal computers. You had to go to a special room that was full of 100 computers, and you'd sit there and type your papers along with 99 other people, and the printers would break, and you'd go crazy, all that. And eventually they phased that out because people realized you really have to have your own. And then the internet would come along, and you really, really needed to have your own. You needed it. I did not have money to buy a computer. Nowhere near. But I needed one, so I had to take out a loan.
Ooh.
I took out a loan for a computer. It was literally a special computer loan. They existed at the time.
Yikes.
For $5,000.
Whoa.
This is the mid-90s, and I took out a loan for $5,000 so I could buy one computer.
That is amazing. A computer now that would be laughable in what it could do. There's probably more computing power in your wristwatch than that computer had.
And I'm not wearing a wristwatch, and still that's true. But I will say, the big difference between my story and your story, I really needed that computer, and you really could have waited for Aliens to be the 8 o'clock movie.
You could have watched Aliens on your computer.
Eventually, yes.
Ooh, then you'd be making money on that computer.
Making money on them aliens. You know, one concept I think about with money all the time.
Where's all mine?
Yeah, why don't I have more? And why do people keep failing to give me their money? Good money versus bad.
Oh, this is a thing for you. Good money versus bad money.
This is a concept I'm talking about all the time. I talk about it with you. I talk about it with my kids, my husband, everybody. This concept of good money and bad money. And it kind of skates around your idiotic notion of Royce-enomics, but it's from a smart person's perspective.
Must be nice.
Here's my idea. You have to spend money in life. That's all there is to it. There are things you really do need to spend money on, but you can spend it well, or you could spend it poorly. And there's lots of opportunities in life to demonstrate the difference. So let's take clothes.
All right.
My kids love clothes.
Oh.
They're teenage boys. They're into clothes. They want, of course, the fancy Nike tech, super expensive stuff. They would never be caught dead wearing a non-brand name, off-the-shelf, simple sweatshirt. Unacceptable. It has to be this brand name, super fancy thing.
It is the law.
Good money says, well, you have to have clothes, of course. You've got to spend some money on clothes. So go ahead and buy something with your hard-earned money that will fit your needs, of course, and will fit your budget. Spending 5 times more for some swoosh brand name, that's bad money. That is all the money is a waste. Why? You need the clothes, yes, but you do not need to spend so much more on the junky part of it.
Says the person who bought a tuxedo at the age of 18.
I did buy a tuxedo at 18, and I used it all the time, and it was, from an economic perspective, much cheaper than renting one every time I needed it.
Oh, you're making money on that tuxedo.
I literally made money on that tuxedo.
It's Royce-enomics.
It's not Royce-enomics.
It lives.
Because
It lives.
Was a good purchase that I needed, not a giant ladder that was bigger than my house.
Let's talk more about good money versus bad money, because I bet we would disagree. We agree on the money part, because I get all my clothes at Target. That's right, folks, I go to Target. I'm not boycotting Live With It. I consider that good money.
It is good money.
How about something like vacations? Are vacations good money or bad money in your mind?
Vacation is always going to be good money.
Nice.
You have to get away. You have to decompress. You want to have these experiences with your loved ones, your family, your friends. It's very, very, very important. Vacations generally are good money.
I like
But
it.
you can get very deep into bad money. So let's say you want to go to Las Vegas.
I like it. Good money.
Very good place
I
to
lose
go.
all my good money.
So you've got an option. You can stay at a moderately priced hotel, or you can stay at the Four Seasons.
Four Seasons.
That's bad money, Royce. That's bad money.
But the bad hotels are stupid. They're called things like Excalibur.
You know what? Excalibur has a bed, a TV, and a shower just like the Four Seasons does. You'll get exactly the same sleep, but you will save thousands and thousands of good money by not staying at the Four Seasons.
So would you say there's Royce-enomics here? It's Royce-enomical, maybe, to stay at Excalibur. You're making money on these nights.
I would say there's a strong argument to be made for a budget-friendly option in a place where there's a whole lot of bad options. And don't even get me started on the gambling elements. Gambling is always bad money. Always, always, always. I don't even care if you win.
I agree.
It's bad money soon enough.
Well, I disagree only from the perspective of if you can make it work, treat yourself. Treating yourself is a kind of gift. Sure, it's maybe not necessary to be alive, but there is something psychologically satisfying about giving yourself a gift, which I believe they say in Twin Peaks. Every day, give yourself a little present. It has real value. And something like the Four Seasons is a gift you can give yourself. It makes you feel better. It does make you enjoy the trip more. And that has value. Therefore, good money. Treat yourself. Make yourself feel good. You deserve it. You work hard.
Save your money. Go get a nice dinner. That's what I say.
Oh, do both. Get room service at the Four Seasons.
That sounds pretty nice, actually.
You don't need all of your children. Sell one and go to the Four Seasons and get a good steak.
Can we stop putting a plug in for the Four Seasons? We are never going to stay in a Four Seasons ever.
I want to. No, I don't.
You
I don't
would
like- no,
not
I don't like
last
fancy
3
things.
seconds at a
They're
Four
too
Seasons.
fancy. They're too fancy. I don't want fancy. I want like the best fanciness that I can deal with.
Excalibur's too fancy for you, Royce.
Circus.
So, food, right?
Ooh.
You got to eat. Good money.
Good money.
Go to the grocery store, buy your groceries, come home, cook. It's all good money. Calling DoorDash every day to have food delivered to your face. Bad money.
Oh, I don't agree at all.
What?
I love having a burrito chauffeured directly to me.
Bad. That is the antithesis of Royce-enomics. You are losing money on that burrito.
I'm not saying it's good Royce-enomics. It's not that. But I like the burrito and I don't want to drive.
Make your own burrito. You know how easy it is to make a burrito?
I know how easy it is to burn my house down.
Yeah. You actually might burn your house down trying to make a burrito.
So, DoorDash. Good for me. Good money.
Bad money,
Good money.
Royce. Bad money. Do not listen to him, listeners.
I think we have explored this concept deeply. I feel smarter because of it, and you did not convince me, Brett, that Royce-enomics is not a strong economic theory to bring happiness to everyone.
Oh, I think I convinced everybody else, though.
I do think everyone is probably not on my side, but besties, I love you anyway. You're making me think, and maybe we'll close with this, of quotes about money that we say all the time, and I think they're worthy of some reflection. For me, a quote that I know people say, you get what you pay for. Sometimes it might be true for something like clothes, but it's not necessarily true for politicians.
That is definitely true. All right, Royce, here's one bouncing around my mind. Money can't buy happiness. Try me. Everyone says money can't buy happiness, but if you ask them, would you like more money? They don't flip a coin. They say yes. I'm not sure there's as much wisdom wrapped up in that as people think there is.
I agree with that. Besties, no matter where you are on your economic journey, I hope that no matter what it is, I hope you're making money on it.
My sincere hope for you listeners is you will never, ever, ever practice Royce-enomics.
That is a wise call.
And that will wrap things up for this episode. Thanks so much to our theme composer, Seth Weinstein.
And thank you, besties, for spending time with us today.
We know you're doing your best out there.
We can't wait to see you again soon. Like and subscribe so we can stay in touch.
You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, and Blue Sky.
Find those links, other information, and email us at www.thebestwecando.com.
For now, I'm Brett Connor.
And I'm Royce Connor.
Next time we'll try to do better, but for now, this is the best
we can do. We're making money on this podcast.
Making money! Bye-bye.
Bye.